Buenos días a todos. My name is Carlos Menchaca, I'm the chair of the New York City Council's Committee on Immigration. Before going any further, I'd like to introduce the other members of our committee who are here with us today. From Queens, we have Councilmember Drum. From Queens, Peter Koo. We'll be joined later by some other council members. The City of New York has always welcomed immigrants with open arms. Never is this more true than when the city welcomes and supports immigrants in need of humanitarian assistance. Today, we will explore how the United States and the City of New York can support nationals of Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone, who were granted temporary protected status in 2014 on account of their inability to safely return to their countries, which were enthralled in a massive Ebola epidemic. Despite the federal government's ability to extend the status, the Department of Homeland Security announced in September 2016 under the Obama administration that the designation for these three countries would be terminated effective May 21, 2017. Those individuals in TPS status who did not previously have lawful status or did not acquire other lawful status while in the United States must return to Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, despite the fact that these countries are still struggling to rebuild their economic infrastructure and healthcare resources, which were severely depleted by the Ebola epidemic. Today, the Committee on Immigration will hear a pre-considered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Debbie Rose of Staten Island, which calls upon the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security to redesignate and extend temporary protected status for these countries because these countries have not yet stabilized after the Ebola epidemic, and nationals residing abroad cannot safely return home at this time. Staten Island is home to the largest Liberian community in the United States, and the New York City has a sizable Guinean and Sierra Leonean communities. So I would like to thank Councilmember Debbie Rose for putting forth this important resolution, which Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, I, and many others in the City Council are proud today to support. I would also like to thank Councilmember Rose for leading a letter-writing campaign to Secretary of Homeland Security, John Kelly, in order to highlight the continued humanitarian crisis in each of these affected countries. This resolution is truly a testament to Councilmember Rose's and the City Council's commitment to protecting and supporting our immigrant communities. I would like to thank advocates and members of the community who are here to testify and support this very, very important and critical resolution. And so now we would like to vote and begin the voting process to vote this out of committee and onto the floor of the City Council this morning, and I'd like to call the vote.
Committee Clerk Matthew DiStefano, Committee on Immigration. Roll call on the pre-considered resolution. Chairman Chaka.
I proudly vote aye.
Drum.
Permission to explain my vote? Chair?
Yes,
I think I just wanted to point out two very important facts that are here in the resolution. And it says that whereas approximately 17,300 children lost one or both parents to Ebola during the 2014 outbreak. That is an incredible number of children to be parentless. And also that prior to the Ebola outbreaks, the three countries already had a ratio of only 1 to 2 doctors per nearly 100,000 people. So there's still going to be a lot of struggle going on in these countries, and this temporary protected status help, would have a great impact on those countries and the people living here in the United States as well. So I want to congratulate Councilmember Rose, and I thank you, Chair. And with that, I vote yes.
Koo.
I want to say congratulations to Chair Menchaca and also Councilmember Rose for the support of this very important immigration issue. I vote yes.
By a vote of 3 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, the pre-considered resolution has been adopted.
Thank you so much, and we'll leave the vote open for members that might be coming in. We have a busy morning of hearings. And I'm going to hand this over to Councilmember Drum to chair the rest of the hearing. I will be heading over to Brooklyn to support a citywide effort to support adult education budget request of the $12 million we want returned to the city budget. So I will be heading over there as chair of the Immigration Committee. I'll hand this over to Councilmember Drum to chair the rest and hear testimony from our public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Chair Rose, did you have a statement that Councilmember Rose, did you have a statement that you wanted to make?
Yes, I do.
Yes, please.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the committee members for voting in the affirmative for this resolution. It means a lot to a great number of people here in New York City. So I'd like to say good morning, and I have a few thank yous to start with. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito for granting my request for an emergency resolution today. And it's an emergency because this TPS order will expire on May 21st. And so it therefore made it emergent. So I'm thankful for her support for this emergent resolution today to support the extension of temporary protected status for Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. To Councilmember Menchaca for adjusting his schedule so quickly to hear a hearing on this urgent matter, and to my staff and the Immigration Committee staff for so quickly pulling everything together to make this hearing and resolution possible. I want to also thank Congressman Donald Payne for championing this issue in Congress, and to my constituents for coming forward collectively as a community to ask for help of the council. As has been said many times, it takes a village, and in this case, to avert what would be a grave humanitarian crisis. I'm speaking of the prospect of thousands of nationals living in the United States, and many of them here in New York City, and many of them in my district, being forced to return prematurely to countries that were ravaged by the Ebola crisis of 2014 to 2016. TPS, or Temporary Protective Status, for Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone is set to expire on May 21st of 2017. This status was granted because these three countries were experiencing a public health crisis of extraordinary proportions due to the sudden outbreak of the Ebola virus, and as a result, they are now facing health professional shortages, infrastructure damage, and economic devastation, and the challenge of reintegrating over 17,000 survivors, many of them children living in extreme poverty, many of them orphans, and were the nationals living here now to return, they would be returning to a situation of no jobs, no homes, and no infrastructure to support them. The African immigrants and nationals living in New York City contribute significantly to our local economy and to their home economics through remittances, thus sending support to communities in need, helping them to rebuild and creating a vital link between our two economies. At today's hearing, we will hear from a representative from Congressman Payne's office, who will update us on the efforts to extend TPS for Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. And we will hear from members of those communities currently living in New York City, who will talk about how losing this status is impacting them with the prospect of losing jobs, health care, and even their homes. I thank them all for making the time to come to share their stories in the chambers of City Hall today. And I thank you all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rose. And I see a few more people have walked in, so if they do want to give testimony, you should fill out one of these sheets and we can then call you. But let me start now by calling up the first two people, and that would be Abraham Tucker, representing the Liberian community, and Mamadou Diallo, representing the Guinea community. Step right over here.
Thank you.
And is Reverend Judy Brown here? Yes, she is. Okay, would she come forward as well? Okay, would you like to start over here, sir? Just push that the button so the red light is on. Yep. And if you could just state your name and your affiliation for the record.
My name is Abraham Chia Tucker. I'm the president of the Staten Island Liberian Community Association on Staten Island. I represent close to 10,000 Liberians on Staten Island. Staten Island is the home of many Liberians. Liberians who are all over the city of New York, but Staten Island having to be the home base that hosts most Liberians. Our country was impacted by a 14-year civil war, which ended in 2003. Coupled with that, our country was also struck by Ebola in 2014. Those two events led to a lot of devastation on the country and the people. In the war, we lost over 200,000 people. That includes men, women, and children. The Ebola too also took away lives of children, women, and men. And our country and our people are still suffering those impacts, and they have not recovered. Some of them, through the courtesy of the United States government, sought refuge in the United States and were given temporary statuses. Some of these statuses will be expired a week from now or a couple of weeks from now. And this is why we're here to make our case. Couple of weeks ago, we brought our case to Councilwoman Debbie Rose, who is our direct representative on Staten Island, to explain our plight to her. She wasted no time but to listen to our plight and also to present it to you, the city council members. So we want to thank Councilwoman Debbie Rose, the speaker, and all of the city council members who have taken these issues very seriously based on those three countries' plight. There are many Liberians who are here today from those countries for the event of the civil war and the Ebola crisis. There are people who lost their family. Entire village were wiped out, entire family were wiped out. Some of them are surviving members, only surviving members of their family. And luckily for them, they were able to get status in America. And those people are now supporting their families and community in America. So those people are also contributing to the growth of the country economically and socially as well. So they find the United States or Staten Island as a refuge, as a home for them. Some of them are settled, they are working, they are contributing to society, making meaningful contribution to our society on Staten Island and in New York. So therefore, there's no structure put in place by the Liberian government at this time to even receive them. The poverty rate is very high in Liberia. The illiteracy rate is almost 90%. The only employer in the country, the highest employer in the country is the Liberian government. And a lot of things are not in place. So the return of those people will be unbearable on the society. The society there is already having problems, difficulties. A couple with the people being sent back would not be fair enough. So we are extending our plea to the President of the United States and all lawmakers in this country to listen to the plea of the people of Liberia, the people of Sierra Leone, and the people of Guinea, to see reason why they can stay here and so that they can be able to contribute to the United States and also to their various countries. I thank you. And not to cut you up, accompanied by me is one of my community members who also lost relatives in the Ebola crisis. So she's suffering the effect as we speak. Many could not be here today because they fear reprisals from immigration officers that probably will bring them to book. So some of them have to stay in the shadow, would not want to come to such a hearing. So it is a very serious issue. It's weighing down our community. So we again want to say thank you for bringing this in a very short time as an emergency issue to address. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Jallo Mamadou Saliu. I'm representing Guinea, and I'm a president of one of the largest city in Guinea called Mamou. And I'm here on behalf of my country and our neighboring countries, which is Sierra Leone and Liberia, due to these TPS situations. And first of all, I would like to thank the United States for their generosity throughout the years that they have been helping out communities and other countries around the world. It's some generosity in which many countries don't have the capacity or the willingness to do. And during the Ebola outbreak, we have lost many lives. And statistically, we were told it's about 10,000, but that's a rough number, because this number is only based on the people that was counted. What about the people that was not being able to count it or being able to go to the hospitals for treatment? And so to me, it's an infinite number. And these people that were able to come here have been granted the TPS to stay here and work and support their families is a very big hope for people back home. Not only they support them economically, but they do help them emotionally too, because they have a very big support on them. So seeing this situation at hand right now is very critical, because we have almost about 5,000 people in these three countries that were granted the TPS. And looking at the situation of this country right now, if the TPS is not extended, these people are facing a high risk of being deported on the immigration law. Therefore, we are asking again the President of the United States and all the lawmakers to please take this into consideration, as they already did, starting by the City Council of New York and throughout the whole country, to please take this matter and help out these people to stay in here and work so that they can support their people back home. Because these three countries, as mentioned my brother, we are third world countries, not developed at all, especially in the healthcare situations. Not only we don't have equipment, we don't even have hospitals for that matter. Many of these people died because there were no place where to put them. And the government tried their best, but their best is not good enough for these people, for these major countries, especially in Guinea, where the area that was really impacted, for them to leave the area and get to the capital, it would take them days, because they assume the medication is at Conakry, where they have like maybe two hospitals. And after this outbreak, it really put back the country backwards, knowing, first of all, we don't have the equipment or the facilities, but an outbreak like this have set us backward more than where we were. So sending back these people down there will be another disaster, because not only they are helping out, but a lot of people, as we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of children that lost both parents in this crisis. And some of them have been adopted by relatives. And these are some of the relatives living here under the TPS to help them out. Let's remember, these kids, all of them are under 18 years of age. They need school, housing, food, and everything depends on those people that have been granted the TPS to work here. So we are asking you and urging you one more time to please reconsider on extending the TPS for our communities and our citizens. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good morning, and thank you so kindly for Councilwoman Debbie Rose and this august body for convening this hearing this morning. It is so vital and very, very important. My name is Reverend Judy Brown, and I am the Executive Director of the African Refuge, which provides services to the largest settlement of West Africans here in New York. We not only deal with the 3 countries that that were mainly affected by Ebola, but all of West Africans, including people from the Ivory Coast, people from just everywhere in West Africa. But I'm here today because I just want to be on record as saying that we must do everything humanly possible to actually keep and get the TPS extended. Many of the individuals who came over did not come over to America and have been living in the shadows, but they have come over with passports, and therefore they're on record, and they're easily traced and identified, which means that if any actions for deportation would happen, we believe that our community would just be overwhelmed with ICE coming in and disturbing the quietness of the community, and to expose children to such horrific trauma that is beyond measure. In addition to that, we have many elderly in the community who've come over and have not been able to gain command of the English language, and therefore they still sign their names with X. These individuals could never become citizens because they do not have the skills and the command of the English language to do so, and a lot of them are elderly. And to displace them back into a country that is already in disrepair and poverty-stricken would just be horrendous. These are individuals who not only are victims of Ebola, but have also been victims of war. So the trauma of war, victimization, and then being brought to America as refugees and then sent back under deportation would just be really inhumane. So we understand that the TPS, the ending of the TPS was a result of Americans' efforts of going into the country and doing a wonderful job of cleaning up. And we applaud the global effort that was employed to bring about stability in Africa. But we know that the effects have been devastating, and those effects have not all been adequately addressed. The infrastructures, the roads, the electricity, the homes. We're sending people back to places where there were once houses, but now there is nothing, and telling them to live again. Any effort that this council can do to lend their support to the effort, to speak to Homeland Security, and even to address our President of these United States of America to make a plea for the extension of the TPS. And not only that, we also know that the DED is in effect, and we're looking at, in another few months, the extension or expiration of the DED. So both of these, TPS and DED, are very essential that we advocate and that we lend our support and expertise to get them extended, that the people from West Africa can live freely, not in shadows, continue to contribute to the American society, and continue to use their skills and expertise to make America a better place. So I want to thank you very, very much for your time. In any ways that we can build pathways to citizenship is definitely something that we advocate and support. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for your testimony. You are absolutely right that it's vitally important that we pass this resolution. It's passed committee. We're waiting for one more person to come to vote, so we will hold the vote open until 10:45. Hopefully that member of the committee will come before then, and then make it a four-person in favor vote, and then it will go to the floor of the City Council, and hopefully it will pass there. I believe that it will pass there. I think that this council recognizes the struggles of the 3 countries, and you know, I was the former chairperson of the Immigration Committee. I'm chair of Education now.
Okay.
And so the issues that you've outlined, especially in regard to the plight of the children, are ones that really affect my heart. It's Should be noted as well that there were 28,639 suspected, probable, and confirmed cases of Ebola and 11,316 deaths from Ebola. Now, here in New York City, we had a bit of a scare with Ebola, but it was basically only a scare, and people were terrified of what that might mean. But could you imagine living in the country where it originated and how devastating an impact it must have on those who lost loved ones? So I also want to congratulate Councilmember Debbie Rose, because when I was chair of the Immigration Committee, she always told me, don't forget the West African community and make sure that they are involved in all of the immigration decisions. So you do have a great representative in Councilmember Debbie Rose. She is always fighting and looking out for you. So I want to say thank you to you for coming in. Councilmember Rose, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Not really, Chair, because I think you articulated the issue and the importance of us moving quickly and expeditiously on TPS. I think it's really important that, you know, the record reflects how devastating Ebola was to a country that was really sort of already functioning marginally, and the impact that returning people back to a country lacking infrastructure, and the statistic was so glaring to me that that you had prior to Ebola a ratio of 1 to 2 doctors per 100,000 people. That, you know, in the time when we are now fighting to save healthcare here in the United States, to ensure that all Americans have health coverage and care, to even contemplate sending people back to a country that prior to had a ratio of 1 to 2 doctors per 100,000 people, back to a country where that ratio doesn't even exist. The infrastructure is no longer there. The hospitals are not there. The fact that we're taking children who are in school now, who have the ability to improve their lives and to become literate, whereas you so eloquently stated that we have many elders that are here who cannot read and would not ever be able to pass the citizenship test, you know, and we are educating young people so that they can be productive citizens, you know, here or wherever. It's just so important, and I want to thank you for being here and so well articulating this struggle. And I want to thank this committee and the chair for being so open to this emergent situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad that we can get it done before the 21st deadline as well. So that, I think that was critical. We do have one more person who wants to give testimony, but before I call that person, I just want to call on Councilmember Espinal, who has now joined us to vote. Clerk?
Committee on Immigration, continuation of the roll call on the pre-considered resolution. Councilmember Espinal.
I proudly vote aye. Thank you.
Vote now stands at 4 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, no abstentions.
Okay, and with that, I'd like to close the vote, but I would also like to call up to the table for testimony Madeline Akibo Betts, representing today the country of Sierra Leone. Are there any other speakers in the audience who would like to speak? Okay.
Good morning.
Hold on just one second, because I need to just call you in and the other members who have joined the panel, okay? Do you have the names? Oh, okay. All right, so fill out those forms, and then our first speaker, is that Madeline Betts?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead, and then I'll announce the other two as soon as the forms are filled out. Thank you. Yeah, just put that red light on. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Honorable Debbie Rose, council members, and ladies and gentlemen. I am Madeline Akiba Betts, and I work for African Refuge as immigrant specialist. And I've lived in the United States for 27 years. I'm here as a concerned Sierra Leonean. I'll be speaking from the heart. Sierra Leone, for some of you who don't know, as far back, if we were to go back to history, is one of those countries that, that has suffered all along, beginning from the days of slavery. These were the same people that came over here in boats. And up till this time, it's as if we're still not settled yet. Now, Sierra Leone is the same country also recovering from war. And this war happened over 20-something plus years ago, and it created so much problem over there. To this day, is so much unemployment, is chaos, is poverty, is squalor. It's just so much. Even the government of the day can handle most of the problems. So that when Ebola struck, it was yet another problem for us. We couldn't handle it because even the very doctors, our very doctors died. We lost over a dozen doctors. And it brought about another new set of hardship, fear, chaos. People didn't know what to do. Some of them eventually landed here. And it was my pleasure on a day to receive a call from my attorney that the former President Obama had granted temporary status. If I was to give you a picture of what happened to me on that day, my belly was on the floor, thanking God, tears rolling down my eyes. That's how happy I was, hilarious, I would call it. So, and that's the very thing that pushed me here today, that I would not sit by and let something like this just die a natural death. I'm here, this is a desperate plea for help that TPS be renewed, please. The reason being, some of these, our people, they depend on us. Even Sierra Leone, the country itself, the economy is so bad. It's like if we are over here unemployed, going through all of these other things, it's just a helpless situation. So I'm asking you, please, to just consider renewing this temporary protective status for another 18 months. Another reason, the reports coming from back home is still bad. Is looting, is mayhem, is murder. Everything is taking place because people see that their future is at stake. There's nobody to talk to, even over here. If I would say, if TPS is not renewed, one of the things I expressed the other day, people are going to lose benefits. They would become jobless, unemployed, and it's another fear, homelessness, and it's just too much. So There's this saying, if you've never suffered before, and you heard about suffering, you would turn a blind eye. But I just want you all to just put yourselves in our shoes. If like you went to another country and you were enduring hardship, nobody to talk to, no help forthcoming, it's like everything the future seemed bleak. What would you do? So that's the point we've come to. And right now, the fear, everybody's looking to see what's going to happen on May 21 when TPS would come to an end. So it is with this, I'm here as a desperate mother, a desperate Sierra Leonean, a desperate African, pleading to the United States, please, for TPS to be extended one more time. I thank you all so much for your attention, and I bless the United States of America. Indeed, God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you for that very moving testimony. Thank you. Next, please.
Good morning. My name is Ed Josie. I'm the president of...
I don't think your mic is on. Just see if that red light is on.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Edward Josie. I'm the president of Staten Island branch of NAACP. I'm a member of Council District 49, in which our council member, Debbie Rose, is presiding. I stand before you a matter of urgency. Now, you've just heard this lady here speak about the conditions in her home country. I do remember when the Ebola scare hit this world. There were a lot of rumors going around about we should avoid people who come from those countries. There was a lot of rumors that just create a lot of hype in this country. I can recall going to meetings at different schools and different places all over Staten Island, in which people were trying to set the record straight as to what this whole thing was about. Whether they're successful, I don't know. But I do know that people lost their lives. People in this country who came from those various countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, they were terrified. The world was terrified. What was going to happen to the whole entire world? There was just a sheer panic and rumors that were false rumors. And the United States, as the big lady in the river down the street, the Statue of Liberty says, give me your tired, you're poor, you're hungry, I will protect you. America stepped forward, and they did bring people here who needed help. And those same people right now are fearful of going back to this home country, and the epidemic is still running rapid. Now, I do scan the internet quite frequently, and I do try to keep abreast with things in this country plus other parts of the world. And I can see pictures of people getting this disease, and they just seem to just vanish overnight. So to me, it's an urgent thing that you do extend this temporary protective status. You have the power, I hope, and the strength to do it. And I would urge you to please do that, because May 21st is less than 2 weeks away. Now, I would hate to say these people have to go back into a situation, perhaps maybe in their eyesight, to die. That's not a very pleasant thought, so please do what you can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, please.
Good morning, Honorable. Good morning, Council member, Debbie Rose. My name is Didier Fall. I'm the president of the Guinean community in Staten Island and active member of all Guinean community in United States of America. Honorable, as you know, a few years ago, our country, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia was terribly hit by a disease. At the beginning, nobody knows what was it. This disease was Ebola. Unfortunately, at the beginning, our government, they start hiding it. So at the end of it, we find out it was Ebola. The time it came forward for people to know what was the exact type of the disease, it was Ebola, very, 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 very virus disease who can kill anything, anytime. So I know, actually, as you know, Honorable, On May 21, all these TPS will be expired. So if I stand here today, I'm talking on behalf of my people. As you can hear, my brothers and sisters, we really play you to help us extend this TPS program. Otherwise, it's gonna be very, very critical for these people who's gonna return back to the country. They don't have nothing to do there, number one. And they're really, really scared. At this time, as a matter of fact, even a few days ago, not even 2 weeks ago, we still have the same kind of disease who start to sporadically turn on in Liberia. But they find out this was not Ebola. Heard it. So, you're honorable. As I said earlier, please help us to consider to renew this TPS program. Thank you. God bless America.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank all three panelists, and thank you NAACP as well for always being in the forefront of these fights. Thank you. And we have one more panel coming up. So I just can't read the last name, but it's, I think it's Bobby Dye. Did you? I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Island Voices?
Yes.
Okay,
Daniel, how
very
are
good.
you?
You wrote it quick. You
We're,
got a
we're,
doctor's-
we're
you got a
Facebook
doctor's
friends.
handwriting. Yeah. All right, Bobby, go ahead, please.
Good morning, all. Thanks for making time for this. My name is Bobby Digi. I'm the Executive Director of Island Voice. I'm also a first-generation American. My dad's from West Africa. I'm from Staten Island, Councilwoman Debbie Rose's district. We've advocated for the African community on Staten Island for over 15 years at this point. And really being sort of during the Ebola crisis, being one of the agencies that were advocating for services and just clarity when there was so much confusion. Again, we're in a state of confusion once more in the community. Families are dealing with a high level of anxiety, not knowing what their fate will be. And we have to keep in mind that it's not just families that are here, but families that are over in Africa as well. America, we stand for a nation that's always opened its door and projects and always amplifies the need to be at the forefront of salvage and humanity. And I think that we're at a moment now where we can demonstrate these values in just small gestures. I see these people potentially that will be deported as some of the most hardworking members of community that I've had the opportunity to work with, interact with, see their children, see their family members. So I've come here representing my organization, and also wearing other hats in the community and representing some of those other organizations to just say that whatever support that the council can offer, and we're very grateful for the leadership that our councilman has displayed, that if we can get as much support in renewing the status so that we can bring peace to the community and to the family members and begin to focus on building their lives. That's what we're here for. So we're fully on board Island Voice, and we have over 1,000 people looking to really get involved. Just on my way here, there were people that are looking to support. So whatever the council needs from us to make it easier or to assist, we're willing to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think you just came in, so you didn't hear, but I did congratulate and thank Councilmember Debbie Rose also, because I used to be the chair of this committee. I'm now chair of education, but she has been a constant advocate for the African communities in terms of the whole immigration issue. and always reminding us not to forget the African community, both our immigrants and our refugees. So
That's right.
thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for making time to. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Councilmember Rose, you want to take us out?
Again, I want to thank all of you for coming and for sharing your very poignant stories about pre and post Civil War, post Ebola, and the impact that it's had on West African countries that are affected by TPS. I want to again say to you that we understand the emergent situation that you're in, and that we are taking whatever steps that we can to try to get this reauthorized and extended. And so, again, I want to thank the chair of the Immigration Committee, which is Carlos Menchaca, and for the very able chair of the Education Committee who stepped in because Chair Menchaca is out championing a bigger, immigration issue this morning. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to all of you, and
Thank you very much. And so this issue will be brought to the floor of the City Council this afternoon at 1:30, and we will have a final vote on that later on today. So I want to thank you all for coming in, and with that, I will say this meeting is now adjourned.